Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Review.
Tonight's stories include:
We took our cameras to Thomas Amusements.
I had an interview with Mayor MacDonald.
We contacted the Seniors Committee regarding the Senior Center.
I had an interview with a group of kayakers who were in town this past week.
And a whole lot more, so please stay with us.
I guess most people noticed a number of vehicles around our community on Thursday with kayaks on their roofs.
We caught up with the kayakers in Aaron's Arm, where they were preparing to depart on a voyage up our coast.
I'm speaking with Scott Cunningham, one of the kayakers that were in town on Thursday. How many kayakers are there in your group?
There's 12 of us.
Okay, what areas are they from? I noticed a lot of different license plates from a lot of different areas.
Oh, we got them from Nova Scotia and Ontario, and Virginia, and Manitoba, and a couple other places in the States.
Okay, what made you decide to come to Burgeo?
Well, I was here before as a kid. One of my uncles ran the Hopedale, and so I knew about the coast. And I visited here before. And I just also want to come back and check it out in a different way, close up, sort of intimate in a way, if you will, with a small little boat, so I get very close to the coves and the rocks and stuff like that.
Okay, I understand you stayed at our Samex Park last night. What did you think of the park?
Well, I didn't stay there, but a couple other people did, but I've been there. It's an excellent spot. Your name implies that there's sand there, but I didn't expect to find the beaches so extraordinary. I mean, I've been up the coast before from Rose Blanche up to here, and you just don't see sand beaches like that anywhere on the coast. So it's quite unusual for this particular area. It's a nice park.
Okay, what routes do you have planned for your trip?
Well, we're going to leave today out of I don't know what this cove is called.
Aaron's Arm.
and we're facing the wind, so I'm not sure how far we're going to get today. We're leaving kind of late. I'd like to get to maybe Doctor's Harbor, across the bay there, and then we got 7 days to make it down to Rose Blanche, and we could do it in 4 or 5 if we went steady, but we're expecting we'll have to stop for wind or storm or something for a day or two, or if we don't have any bad weather, we'll stop anyway and go hiking inland and just exploring the whole place. Okay. It's a vacation for everybody. It's not work for them. It's my job to lead them, but they're here for a good time, so we're not going to push them too hard.
Okay, so have you kayaked in any other areas of Newfoundland?
No, I just kayaked in the southwest coast. I've been to other areas. I used to live on the Avalon Peninsula, so I'm familiar with that. And I've been up to Grossmore, and I have a friend up there that has a kayaking business up there too. But I prefer the southwest coast because of the rugged. It's accessible to me because I live in Nova Scotia now, and it's just a ferry hop across, and I'm right there. And I think it's the most beautiful part for this sort of activity. I think it's an extraordinary coastline.
Okay, so is there much involved in handling a kayak?
Well, it's like anything, if you know how to do it, you can make it seem pretty easy, and if you don't know how to do it, you can get in trouble. It's not like tennis where you can take weeks to learn to hit the ball back and forth. In a kayak, you can take a beginner and put them in the first day, get them going in a straight line and enjoying themselves. But to be an expert, it takes quite a while. And certainly the big thing is judging the conditions. Well, you know here, anyone on this coast knows what can happen here. So you got to know what to expect and be prepared for anything, be prepared to stop when you have to and that sort of thing. And that takes a long time to get that experience.
Okay, is this an annual trip for you as a group, or is this first
Yeah,
time?
I've done it before, and if I get interested enough, I'll come back regularly because the people are getting more and more keen for doing this sort of what they call ecotourism, where they just go hiking or biking or what we're doing, kayaking, and just enjoy the nature as it is without really using it at all. And that's growing worldwide. And so my business is growing, and as it grows, I take them to different places that are more interesting. They're looking for places that are not dangerous per se, but seem to be far away. And this is a perfect place. It seems like the last time I drove as far as I did, without seeing a house, was up in the Yukon somewhere. Okay, and this is only a few hours from North Sydney. It's not far away. So you're not really far away physically, but it seems like you're far away. And you can do this trip quite safely, but it can seem really rugged, okay? And that's what people want. They want to do something that pushes them a little bit, but not too far. That seems way remote part of the world, but actually is quite close to home. They like that sort of stuff.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank you for speaking with us, and we hope you have an enjoyable and safe trip.
Glad to talk to you.
Okay.
We contacted Mr. Ed Batcher, chairman of the Seniors Housing Committee.
We were wondering if they found out any new information regarding the construction of this complex.
Mr. Vatcher informed us that on July 23, 1992, Wayne Young of Young's Construction was notified that his contract with the Burgeo Senior Citizens Housing Committee was terminated. On Friday, July 31, 1992, a meeting was arranged with the bonding company representatives, Newfoundland and Labrador housing officials, lawyer Christine Fagan, and Bob Fugard of Venture Architects on how to proceed without Young's Construction. To date, August 14th, an agreement in principle has been reached, but as of yet nothing has been signed. Therefore, the committee are not at liberty to divulge the name of the new contractor. When the contract has been awarded and a start-up date has been reached, you will be notified through BBS.
Paving has been completed on the main streets around our community.
However, many of the side roads in town are still in terrible driving condition.
We decided to drive around with our camera on both the side roads and the main roads just to give you a little indication of the difference. And obviously, this is the side road. In addition to filming the conditions, we also took our cameras out and talked to some individuals in our community about the paving of the side roads. Unfortunately, a lot of people had good opinions, but declined an interview. We did, however, get a few people that were willing to talk to us. We also contacted town manager Mr. Doug Kendall, but he too declined an interview.
What do you think of the new pavement around town?
It's excellent. Really, it's great to be able to go for a drive now and not have to slow down and speed up all the time. It makes for safer driving in my opinion.
Yeah. In your opinion, what do you think of the fact that the side roads did not get paved?
I don't think it was a very good idea not to pave them now. They may as well do it now where all the equipment and everything's here.
Okay.
And it's more economically feasible to do it now rather than pay probably a couple years' time to get all the equipment coming again.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for your opinion.
You're welcome.
What do you think of the new pavement around town?
Well, I think that it was a great necessity to get the new pavement done, and I think that they've done a really good job, and it's really nice driving around town, and it's a great improvement, and it's nice to see that it's done with a good job done.
Okay, how do you feel about the fact that the side roads were not done at this time?
Well, if there was enough funding, then, I would say, well, that's all you could do if there was enough funding. Maybe in years to come, if there is funding enough, I think that they should be done, because the side roads are in such a bad shape as what the circle, what the new road is done.
Howard, how do you feel about the pavement around town, the new pavement?
Around the town itself,
Yes.
I think it's quite good actually. It makes driving much more pleasant. It has been for a couple of years now, probably longer than that. I think that it's a good addition to the town, really.
How do you feel about the fact that the side roads weren't done at this time?
It seems to me that it would have been a practical thing to do at this particular time when the equipment was in here to do the paving. To have had that done if that was financially possible.
Thomas Amusements were in town this past week.
We took our camera to the amusements to see what kinds of rides they had.
And to see how people seemed to be enjoying them.
Things are rather quiet here at Thomas Amusements this morning, but this afternoon when things get started, it won't take long for everything to liven up. Thomas Amusements have a number of rides brought with them, such as this one, the Scrambler. They also have the Ferris wheel with them. Unfortunately, due to limited space, they weren't able to bring all their rides with them. But for anyone who likes to get up high, there's the Ferris wheel. They also have Tip Top. For anyone who likes a fast ride with a pretty firm stomach. They also have around a dozen game booths, which you can play all sorts of different games for prizes. This is one of 2 kids' rides that Thomas Amusements have brought with them. And another ride they have with them this year is Roundup.
cracked windshields, busted up exhaust systems, and many lost tires directly attributed to the gravel road.
Route 480, the Burgeo Road, is nearing completion as the paving continues.
The section of road that was dug up in the top pond area has been repaired. Hopefully these culverts that were installed will correct the water problem that was created there last year. As you can see, the detour road has now been dug up so that the water can run smoothly once again. Paving finished on Saturday in the Baggs Brook area. Just in the road past the cabins in that area.
We took our camera to what is perhaps one of the busiest sites in Burgeo.
The new healthcare facility, to see how the building is shaping up.
When we visited the site on Friday, a number of workers were busy leveling off the parking lot because Western will be out to prepare it for paving this weekend. Also, the electricians were still working inside the building as well as the carpenters. Also, work was still being done on the outside of the building. The parking lot at the new healthcare facility should be paved sometime next week.
It has been a while since Mayor MacDonald has been into our studio,
I had an interview with Mayor MacDonald this past week concerning the fishery.
as well as other issues pertaining to our community.
Welcome to our studio once again, Mayor MacDonald.
Thank you, Dave.
I guess first of all we should start by clearing up the rumor that the sea freeze plant here in Burgeo is up for sale.
Yes, well, basically last week I had several phone calls of people asking me did I hear about the rumor, and apparently I didn't, so I got to work and start to check it out, and I talked to several officials from Sea Freeze, and they confirmed that the rumor is not true. So I don't know where the rumor originated from, but it certainly was going around this community very strong, and I'm glad to think that the rumor is not true, Dave.
Okay, when I interviewed Mr. Barry earlier this spring, he said that he was coming to town early in July. He's not been in town yet. Do you know if he still plans on coming?
Well, I got off the phone, I guess an hour ago now with Carl Sullivan Sea Freeze, and basically their plans was to come into Burgeo with an operating plan for the Burgeo plant for 1993. Now that's been changed somewhat. They did have a plan put in place, but I guess it was on July the 9th, the news came out that there's the possibility of tremendous quota cuts for 1993, so this has changed their plans considerably.
Okay, so do they have a definite date yet for a reopening of Burgeo plant?
I've been informed that possibility of November. It's certainly going to depend on the fish stocks, if there's fish available at that time. If the fish is available in November, there's a possibility she will open in November and probably get 5 weeks out of this year. But if the fish is not available in those areas where we have our quota left for this year, then it certainly looks like it's going to be January.
I also understand that there may be some quota cuts which may have drastic effects on the winter fishery here in Burgeo.
I just said Dave, if the fish is not available in November, December, it looks like it's going to be January. Now, also, the scientists have recommended to DFO some drastic quota cuts for the areas that we get our winter fishery from. And those areas is 43% reduction recommended in 4 VSW, that's cod. And that's a drastic reduction. We solely depend on that, I guess. 82% reduction in 4V, and that's one of our main areas. 40% reduction on the Georges Bank in 5Z, and also a 20% reduction in 4TV in. So those areas is where we get our supply of fish from. And if DFO abide by the recommendations from the scientists, and this comes into effect, then certainly Sea Freeze as well as FBI and other companies are going to have to change their plans for next year. And basically, as I see it, if we go any lower than we've been this year, which we started, I think, around the 10th of January, and we were into production until the latter part of April, if we go any lower than that, then certainly we're going to have to seriously look at pushing the government or lobbying the government, federal government, for a moratorium in those areas, because we can't go any lower. I mean, if we go any lower than 3 months, it's certainly no good for the community or the employees or the company. So we're certainly going to have to watch this one closely and get the message across to Mr. Crosby. Look, if you go by the scientific advice and cut those quotas, then we certainly want you to go all the way, because what you have is people not even getting enough work to qualify for UIC, and this is certainly not adequate.
Okay, Mayor MacDonald, it's been a while now since we've had a council report. Is there anything new happening with council?
Basically, no, Dave. Our last 2 council meetings, there haven't been much to report. It's just regular business, and I didn't do up a report on that because it would be very short. We were hoping to get a meeting last Wednesday, but unfortunately, we didn't have one, and that was the reason again, because our agenda was very, very small. And I guess next Wednesday night is our regular council meeting again. But up to this point, there haven't been any new developments to report, just a few minor things on the go. But I got to say that I am pleased to see that the hospital is progressing very well, and hopefully that'll be open by March. The paving around town has been, I guess, completed, but the shoulders of the road has got to be rolled out yet, so there's a bit of work to be done there. And the incinerator is taking longer than I expected, but I guess they're doing a good job with it. But now, I don't have this, I guess, a definite notification from the Department of Municipal Affairs, but it's information that we got that $46,000 have been approved for the water line in the Messrs. Ed area. So once we get the official notification on that, we'll be going to tender for that project, as well as the cleaning out of the water reservoir and to work on the chlorine plant.
Okay, has council heard anything new regarding the senior center?
The last I've heard on the senior center is that the contract has been taken away from Young's Construction, and they went to tender. There's several bids in on the project, and they should know the successful bidder within a day or so. So hopefully that project can be started again and hopefully completed before the winter comes.
Okay, Mayor MacDonald, is there anything else you'd like to add?
The only thing I'd like to add, Dave, is on this fishery thing, and I'm very concerned over fishery issues, and I've been listening to the news and keeping up to date on what's happening in the fishery, and it's not only Burgeo, it's the fishery in general. We're in a crisis in Atlantic Canada, and it's something that is certainly going to seriously have an impact on communities and employees, because we have a government in Ottawa who's saying the fishery has got to be downsized, which means we've got to have list fish plant burgers, we got to have list fishermen. We got a provincial government who's saying the same things. So I often wonder what's going to happen to those people who's not going to get back into the fishery. I know there's several programs on the go, retraining, but what are you retrained for? Early retirement is, I guess, a solution for some people, but not for all. So certainly a crisis we're in, and the Mayor's Alliance now do have a meeting with Wells, Premier Wells and Walter Carter, the Minister of Fisheries, on August 24th, and we're certainly going to be pressing some of those issues. And another issue also concerns me is there's a large group of people out there, I don't want to name names, but there's a large group of people in this province who don't want to see an offshore fishery at all. They want to see the offshore completely done away with. This bothers me because a community like Burgeo and Lambia cannot survive on inshore alone. We definitely got to be harvesting the offshore to make a living and keep the communities going. So all of those issues is a concern to me, and we're certainly going to be bringing those issues to the attention of not only the Premier and Mr. Carter, but Mr. Crosby as well. So all we can do is hope for the best and hope that those recommendations by the scientists is not implemented by DFO, because if they are, we're certainly looking at some serious implications for 1993.
Okay, Mayor MacDonald, thanks for speaking with us.
You're welcome, Dave.
Well, Jody, that's about it for this week.
Yes, Dave, but before we go, we should invite our viewers to stay tuned for a repeat broadcast of one of last season's bandwagons.
And we hope they enjoy it.
Well, Dave, this is my last week here at BBS, and I must say, I've really enjoyed working here.
Yes, Jody, and we've enjoyed having you here. On behalf of BBS and the BBS volunteers, I'm Dave Cooper.
And I'm Jody Han. Have a great week.
Good night.
Good night.